dodge bullets, baby.
This is beyond fairy tale. It's inconceivable.
Yes, Doyle's done it.
He skates steps into poker history.
This is the greatest tournament in the world.
Just 64 players remain.
Yes! Oh! Yes.
Including a handful of top pros.
Nice playing with you.
Each highly decorated, but none have the one title every poker player covets most.
Yes!
Main event champion.
The main event is unbelievably stressful. This is actually a harder accomplishment than Player of the Year.
Most thought they'd never get a chance at the game's ultimate prize.
The fields have gotten so big that it's kind of a crapshoot.
But they've made it this far.
Wow.
When you get down to like around 100 players, you say, wow, hold on. I really have a chance to win.
And are in position to answer one of poker's biggest questions.
Can a well-known famous pro win it?
Yeah. Oh, sure.
Absolutely.
The final table is close. The dream of poker immortality is within reach. Day 7 begins now. Welcome to the 40th Annual World Series of Poker, presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky, along with Norman Chad. I'm Lon McCarran. And Norman, it's day 7, and the main event marathon is nearing its conclusion.
Shipping this thing, baby.
What was once a packed Rio poker room is now down to an elite 64. And it is an impressive field, filled with familiar faces and top pros.
Keep this thing going, man. I don't want it to end.
Only one woman, Leo Margetts, remains in the hunt, while Dennis Phillips looks to be part of the November 9 for a second consecutive year.
Here we go.
But all eyes are on two men.
You got all the chips. I don't have them all. Wow. I don't have them all.
Chip leader Darvin Moon and the most feared player in the game, Phil Ivey.
I respect you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
The pros are everywhere, including at the featured table where bracelet winner Antonio Esfandiari resides.
Antonio's got that bracelet in 3 World Series final tables, but this is uncharted territory for him in the big one.
What's the farthest you made in the main event?
This?
This?
I've never made it past day 2.
That's pro Ryan Fair talking to Esfandiari, who's trying to make the most of this first deep main event run, and he will start this day in 6th place. Everyone chasing Darvin Moon, Billy Kopp in 2nd place, Phil Ivey in 3rd, and in 4th place is Steve Begleiter with a little more than twice the chip average of $3 million. And there is Begleiter, a former executive at Bear Stearns.
He works in private equity, and I am not a private equity fan.
And he folds. Action on Antonio Esfandiari on the Jack Link's Beef Jerky Pocket Cam. Ace tray offsuit.
He works in public entertainment. I like that more.
A raise to $135,000 from Antonio. Ian Tavelli folds. Action folds over to another accomplished pro here, James Aikenhead from London with pocket 9s.
Aikenhead, part of the London-based poker team called the Hit Squad, sort of a younger Hendon mob.
And Aikenhead's going to move all in for his last $1.5 million.
Antonio's thinking, darn, I was just raising with a weak ace.
All right, so action now on Hung Pham, an amateur with pocket 10s.
You can have whatever you like.
I guess Antonio is a fan of T.I.
T.I.? I thought that was a Prolad original.
Hung Pham folds his pocket 10s on Mark Ader now with Ace King.
He's a financial advisor.
Mullen.
And he's going to move all in. He has Aikenhead covered.
With a real Slim Shady, please stand up.
Now Antonio's channeling Eminem.
Former chip leader Warren Zaki from South Africa in the big blind folds.
I was only kidding, guys.
Antonio lays it down, so Aikenhead at risk.
And this is for almost all of Mark Ader's chips.
I had one.
Fold an ace, Antonio?
Fold an ace?
Pocket 10.
Huh? 10.
Pocket 10.
Aikenhead's going, he folded pocket 10s? I am a lucky man.
So Ader trying to knock off Aikenhead. And here's the flop. 4, 6, 9. Aikenhead hits a set of 9s.
Aikenhead on the way to a double up. Ader on the way to chip oblivion.
Pham feeling like a genius for mucking pocket 10s. All right, turn card now is a deuce, and Aikenhead will win it right there. Ader drawing dead.
Aikenhead now just above chip average. Ader now just above 0 chips.
He took a shot with Ace King and fails. Aikenhead with a good double up.
It's the main event, boys. The main event.
And there is nothing quite like it in the world. Norman's 6,494 players walked into the Rio poker room. Each hoped for poker glory. Each dreamed they would be the one. As day 7 begins, the dream is over for 99% of the field, yet hope continues for the remaining 64.
Lon, the number 64 conjures up thoughts of March Madness, and just like the NCAA tournament, this main event has Cinderella stories like chip leader Darvin Moon and powerhouses like Phil Ivey and Antonio Esfandiari. Sure, we'll see some bracket busters along the way, but mark my words, this is the year we'll see a couple of #1 seeds at the final table.
Well, Norman, perhaps a bracket buster in progress right now at an outer table. Prahlad Friedman moved all in pre-flop with King-Queen offsuit for $840,000. He was called by the ace-king of Bradley Craig in the big blind. No help to either on the flop.
Craig was down to 400 chips on day 1. Now the chance to knock off one of the top pros.
Prahlad gets no help on the turn.
Prahlad 20th at the 06 main event, running out of time.
River card is a 9. That will do it. Bradley Craig wins the hand, and that's a wrap for Friedman in 2009.
Prahlad's out, so it's time for me to pout. Will we hear him rap again? There's no doubt. Word to Phil Hellmuth.
Meet him next year.
One of the best in this small field out in 64th. One man who got them all last year, well, all but 2. Dennis Phillips looking for a return ticket to the final table. He's watching on as tablemate Joe Seabach is in a hand against Nick Maimoni after the river. Seabach very short stacked, being watched by his dad, Barry Greenstein. Joe checks the river. Maimoni checks back, and he shows ace-10 for a pair of aces with a 10 kicker and will take the pot.
The 22-year-old gets the better of the 32-year-old.
Joe with about 10 big blinds left.
Barry giving Joe the same look my dad gave me when I told him I was getting married the second time.
Another part of the room, more familiar railbirds. Mel and Pat Humphreys watching their man Phil Ivey in a hand against Chris Bach. Ivey leads with his ace.
I've picked up a tell on Phil Ivey. When he's in the hand, you shouldn't be.
Chris Bach apparently has not learned that lesson, and he's going to bet $150,000 on the turn.
Ivey's saying, you don't have a 3, you don't have a 9. Who you kidding, pal?
Ivey makes the call with his ace in the hole. River card, 7 of spades. Ivey gets the check mark.
Neither player with a hand. Chris Bach still got a plan, though.
He is not shy. He's going to bet $360,000.
Bach bets a little more than half the pot. A 3 beats Ivey, a 9 beats Ivey, virtually any pocket pair beats Ivey. This would be a great call with ace high.
And his read is spot on with ace high makes the call. And Chris Bach sees why Ivey's the best in the business.
That's why I've been picking him to win every year since the Great War. My man certainly got the game, but that chant needs a little work.
Ivey over $7 million now. He finished 1 seat short of the 03 final table. At table 2, a man who made the main event final table in 2000, Jeff Schulman, finished 7th that year. Right now he's watching on as the last woman standing, Leo Margetts, is in a hand. From the big blind, she called with pocket 4s after Grayson ramaged raised with pocket 8s. Andrew Lichtenberger also called with ace-queen suited, and to the flop, these 3 go. The flop is 10, tray, 8. Ramage hits a set of 8s. Margetts almost drawing dead. She will check.
Ramage and Lichtenberger both are 21, 2 of the 8 players who still could become youngest main event champion ever.
Ramage leads out for $200,000. Lichtenberger gives it up.
How much are playing behind?
The 1% hand, maybe with a misread here.
9 behind.
Margetts just with pocket 4s.
Nice.
Will raise it to $600,000.
All in.
Ramage shoves.
I have to call.
Her ill-timed raise now gives her pot odds she can't get away from, but she's not going to like the real odds.
Margetts now in danger of losing about 1/3 of her stack. She's going to need running 4s. All right, turn card with Ramage looking to double up. It is a queen, and that will do it. Margetts drawing dead, and Ramage takes the pot. Margetts gave up over 1 million chips, but her pursuit of becoming just a second woman to reach the main event final table is still alive.
The World Series of Poker, presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Main event.
Back at the Rio, winning that main event bracelet is a priceless moment. Plus, it comes with an $8.5 million bonus.
You and me.
Me and you.
No matter how they
You're
talk
still singing at the featured table, Norman.
That was my wedding song.
My wedding song was Carry On My Wayward Son.
Happy together.
Lon, they're singing our theme song, and they have the same look on their faces as we do.
What, blissfully happy? Steve Begleiter gives it up. Action over to Antonio Esfandiari. 8-9 offsuit.
Antonio recently hired a life coach. He talks to him every morning.
Antonio folds. Ryan Fair with king queen off.
Fair dropped out of dental school, decided that dealing with bad beats was better than dealing with bad breath.
Fair raises to $125,000. Action folds over to Warren Zaki, owner of a plumbing supply company in South Africa, with queen jack offsuit.
As a rule, plumbing supply guys always get the girl.
He calls from the big blind. He'll go heads up with Ryan Fair. The flop 7, queen 4. The queen hits both. Fair leads with his king kicker.
Zaki doesn't look like the type of man who would wear his cap that way.
He likes his queen. He bets $225,000, more than half the pot.
Fair has 4 previous World Series cashes, all top 30 finishes.
And he likes his queen also and calls. To the turn we go. It's a 6. That changes nothing. Zaki putting together some chips. Less than half the pot, $350,000.
Zaki thinks he has the best hand. Fair thinks he has the best hand. One of them, Lon, is wrong.
Fair just makes the call. River card now. Tray of diamonds, 4 to a straight on the board, but Fair earns the check mark with his better kicker. Zaki first to act.
500.
That's about a third of the pot.
Zaki's let out 3 straight times, and now Fair's not so sure he's got the best hand.
You look pretty nervous over there.
I am. I've got a long flat back.
I know. Wow, this hand's pretty hard to lay down. Look quite nervous.
Very nervous.
Fair would be getting 4 to 1 here on a call.
You show if I fold? You will.
Fair's not going to want to see it.
Ryan lays it down. Zaki shows a second best hand.
I guess he should have stayed in dental school.
Wow, this event is hard enough to survive, and then Ryan Fair asking for more torture is beyond reason. So Warren Zaki will drag that pot of almost 2 million chips.
Sir, I got a read on you. Careful.
That's why you should never show your hand.
Currently 57 players remain. Darvin Moon has 3 times the chip average, leading the way. The next player out receives over $108,000. Big pot developing at the outer table. One-time chip leader Billy Kopp with a set of 6s against the straight and flush draws of John Martin. Martin bet $500,000 million. Now Kopp raises to $2,325,000.
Martin, a computer consultant from Southern California, semi-bluffed at this pot, now facing a big re-raise.
Now he comes over the top, all in. And a call from Kopp. Martin at risk with 1 card to come and behind.
Martin decided to gamble, and he's on the brink of going home. Kopp on the brink of becoming chip leader.
Over $6 million in the pot. And the river card is a jack. Kopp will win that huge pot. John Martin missed everything, knocked out in 57th place.
A big main event moment. Kopp regains the chip lead. Martin heading to the exit with a sandwich.
Nice hand, Billy.
Billy Kopp
Nice
with
hand,
another
Billy.
big knockout, propelling him over 11 million chips. He's the chip leader again. Kopp's been making the most of knockouts here at the main event and hopes to make a name for himself in the process.
I knocked out Joe Hashem and Peter Eastgate. I'm the only person in the world that's ever knocked Peter Eastgate out of the main event. That's pretty cool. It was just really nice to be able to play with those guys and compete and being able to build chips by knocking these players out.
You can't look.
To go further is just absolutely amazing. I'm a full-time student at the University of Kentucky. I'm actually like a 6-year senior due to playing poker. I want to finish and get my degree, but I'm only 23 and I think I'm going to go this route for a while. So it feels good to be going deep right now, and hopefully I can make it to the final 9. I'm here to win the bracelet, and I'm going to do everything possible to get first place.
To paraphrase a line from Tommy Boy, a lot of people go to college for 6 years, but they're usually called doctors.
At another table, Joe Seabach pushed his remaining chips into the middle with ace-9 off. Nick Maimone called him with ace-queen.
Nice, I like it.
No, I'm not going to say 1 time.
Funny, my father said the same thing before my first marriage.
But I would like a little 9 on the flop.
I can't recall my father ever saying that.
Seabach needing to come from behind.
I don't want to say what I'm running good.
The flop now. Trade jack 6, nothing in there for Joe to get excited about.
Seabach short stacked much of this main event, looking for that little 9.
Turn card is a 4 of spades, down to his last card.
Barry Greenstein looking for a little 9. Joe needs that 9.
The river card is a queen. Maimone wins it with a pair of queens, knocking out Joe Seabach in 56th place.
Barry, stop twittering and go hug your son.
A great run for Joe Seabach here at the 09 main event. He and his dad should be very proud.
The World Series of Poker, 40th Annual Memories.
Chip Reese was the best overall player that ever walked the face of the earth.
In a poker game, there's no one ever better than him.
Playing some strong poker over here, are we?
He was the best poker player that I ever played against.
Chip Reese has done it!
For him to win the inaugural horse tournament just seems perfectly fitting.
Chip Reese has been the best for a long time. Now everyone knows it.
If the late Chip Reese is supplanted as the greatest player ever, it will likely be by Phil Ivey. But as you see on the FullTiltPoker.net tournament ticker, neither has won the big one. And while Ivey has the edge in the money department, Chip has come the closest to glory, finishing 6th in 1979. Phil Ivey trying to enrich himself further in this main event. He has Scott Citron at risk and way behind after the flop. Ace-King versus Ace-10.
Citron pushed pre-flop with 12 big blinds.
Citron caught his 10, plus he's got a flush draw now.
That's a pretty good card.
Ivy now will need a non-heart king to knock Citron out.
River card is another 10, and the 25-year-old poker pro from Milwaukee doubles up through Phil Ivey. Sounds like Scott has a nice cheering section.
A bump in the road, my friend. Just a bump in the road.
Ivey's still up for the day. Plenty of pros would love to see one of their own at the 40th annual main event final table. Back of the feature table, another pro who's been overdue for a deep main event run, Antonio Esfandiari.
That song stuck in my head now.
Looks like Antonio got a song stuck in Ian Tavelli's head.
No, that I can't see me loving nobody.
That was my wedding song, my first dance.
Stuck in my head.
No one at the table seems to care. That was Steve Beglider's wedding song. I'm interested, Steve.
Action on Adam York, a 24-year-old poker pro from Bristol, England, with ace-jack.
York graduated from Plymouth University. I believe they are the Ragin' Cajuns.
He's going to raise it to $160,000. York also the player that knocked out Nicole Pepe on day 6.
We have 3 Brits left in the main event. No Brit has ever won the big one.
Here's another one from London, James Aikenhead with 2 red kings.
Aikenhead started the day as one of the shorter stacks in the room.
Aikenhead will re-raise to $435,000.
How much do you have total? Or behind?
1.5.
2 Englishmen in the hand. Everything just sounds more civilized with a British accent. It's just a different vibe than when Mike the Mouth and the Poker Brat are talking.
York decides just to make the call with his ace-jack, so these two will go heads up. And the flop is 4 King-Jack. Aikenhead hits his set of kings. Pair of jacks for York, and he checks. Aikenhead now with a hammerlock on his hand. Makes it $420,000.
Aikenhead will not slow play it. Boy, that was a tall stack.
Action back to York now.
One in. Cool.
And an insta-call from Aikenhead, and he looks headed for another double-up.
A very civilized check raise, a very civilized all-in call, and now one of the civilized guys is going to kick the other civilized guy's butt.
I want to sweat. No. You stay out of this one, man.
Aikenhead in good shape.
York needs running cards to knock out Aikenhead.
Turn card. 7 of hearts. York cannot win it. Drawing dead. James Aikenhead doubles up again.
See, no ugly American histrionics there. Just a cup of tea and a big pot.
So Adam York takes the hit, handing his chips to his fellow Brit James Aikenhead with a couple of double-ups today. James Aikenhead over the chip average now. Back to table 2. Get ready for the Jack Link's Beef Jerky wild card hand, where you at home and Norman try to figure out the concealed hole cards.
Lon, I've just gotten word that I've been nominated for the wild card hand Hall of Fame.
I'll be the first one to vote for you. 7 tray off for Jeff Schulman. And he will raise it to $150,000.
Schulman decides to mess around with one of the worst hands in poker. Looks like he has his bluffing shoes on.
On the button, Jonathan Tamayo has the wild card hand.
Tamayo went to Cornell. That's out of my league.
23-year-old from Texas calls for $150,000.
From the button, I'm going to put him on suited connectors.
Small blind, Leo Margetts folds.
Thank goodness we're not playing along with Margetts. I never know what women are thinking.
The big blind folded, so heads up, Tamayo and Schulman. The flop is Jack 10 tray. Schulman with a pair of trays.
Bottom pair doesn't matter. What matters to Schulman is if he figures Tamayo has a hand he can bet him off of, so Schulman might go with a continuation bet here.
Jeff is reaching for chips and puts together $225,000.
There are flush and straight draw possibilities on that board.
Tamayo makes the call.
That call tells me Tamayo got a piece of that board. He might have a pair of tens. He might have a flush or straight draw.
All right, the turn card. Queen of diamonds. Schulman adds a flush draw.
Jeff can't like that card, though.
He checks.
Tamayo could have hit a flush or a straight. It would have been tough for Jeff to keep bluffing right there.
Tamayo checks behind him.
Lon, don't ask me what Tamayo has. I do not know.
That's your job. River card, 9 of spades, 4 cards to a straight on board.
This isn't about what Jeff has. He knows he's beat. It's about if Jeff thinks he can bluff Tamayo off his hand. I don't think he will.
But Jeff is reaching for chips.
I've been wrong before.
With just a pair of trays, bets $500,000.
He's got some read on Tamayo and will take a stab at it. He's putting Tamayo on a pair, and he's trying to bet him off of it.
I call. You got me.
Jeff says, you got me. Tamayo turns over a king high straight. Jonathan actually had him the whole way. He flopped top pair.
Well, Jeff was wrong on that hand. I wasn't right or wrong. I was just wandering about aimlessly.
And that is par for the course on the Jack Link's Beef Jerky wild card hand. Jeff Schulman down under 4 million chips now. To an outer table where one of the top pros is in action. Tom Schneider just moved all in. His 2 pair lead the flush draw of John Liu.
Got it all in. 2 pair against the flush draw.
Tom laying out what's in front of him to his wife Julie on the rail.
Lou, you may recall, bowls and owns a nail salon. 1 out of 2 ain't bad.
King of spades.
Julie actually did better at this year's World Series than Tom until the main event. Tom Schneider right here looking to dodge a heart.
River card. King of spades.
King of spades! Is that my baby? That's what you do! Stack them, stack them, stack them to the top! Woo!
I guess divorce is an option for Tom, but this really shouldn't have gone past the second date.
Sorry, guys.
Apology not accepted. There is a code of conduct in a card room, and a shrieking spouse is in direct violation of it.
With that double up demand they call the donkey bomber, Tom Schneider has nearly 4.7 million chips. Meanwhile, at another table, Dennis Phillips in not so good of shape, getting short on chips. His pocket queens and flush draw trail the set of aces of Steve Sanders after the flop.
Sanders owns several RV parks. This is his first World Series event ever.
Dennis checked action to Sanders, bets $300,000.
It's a sticky spot for Dennis Phillips. The ace alone might scare him.
I'm all in.
Check raise all in from Dennis.
This would be for most of Sanders' chips, and of course Dennis Phillips right now at risk.
I call.
He makes the call. Dennis Phillips at risk and needing help.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, and now Dennis Phillips' hopes for back-to-back main event final tables are looking very dim.
Sanders in position to knock out Dennis Phillips. Turn card now. 4 of spades, no help to Phillips.
Dennis Phillips' amazing 2-year run is 1 card from ending. Phillips needs a club, any club other than the 4, or he is gone.
The river card is the jack of clubs. Phillips flush comes through.
Dennis living a charmed life on that one. The truck horn should have honked several times.
That hand leaves Steve Sanders crippled.
Just got lucky.
Nobody makes the November 9 without catching a little luck, and Phillips' hopes are still alive.
Wow.
Welcome back to the Rio. 54 remain in the main event. We will be playing down to 27 here on day 7. Let's go to table 2, where Leo Margetts has been pretty quiet since doubling up Grayson Ramage. She looks down at 9-4, offsuit, and folds.
Margetts, the last woman standing in her first main event ever.
Action on Eric Buckman, a 29-year-old poker pro from New York. 10-9 of clubs.
Buckman made a final table earlier at this World Series.
A raise to $140,000. Jeff Schulman now with ace king of hearts.
We saw Schulman try to bluff Tamayo previously, a departure from his tight play earlier in the main event.
A re-raise from Schulman to $500,000. There is Tamayo with pocket queens in the big blind.
Tamayo's nickname is Texas John because he's from Texas, unlike, say, Miami John, who's never even been to Miami.
Tamayo comes over the top with his pocket queens all in.
Buckman will be all out.
He does fold. Now Schulman with ace king of hearts.
This will be for most of Jeff Schulman's chips. The new age wonders out there almost always call with this. Shulman's going to think about it.
Sorry, guys, big decision.
Shulman knows this would be, at best, a coin flip that could decide his main event. And Tamayo 4 bet it. He could even have pocket aces or pocket kings.
Jonathan seemingly melting under the power of Shulman's glare.
Looking for action?
I think he's looking for a contact lens that he dropped in his navel.
I'm wondering what answer would satisfy Shulman. Yes, no, maybe?
Well, this is a big decision for Jeff Shulman. Does he want to gamble in this spot?
No, he doesn't. He lays it down, and Tamayo wins it pre-flop with those queens.
If Shulman calls there and wins that race, he's among the chip leaders, but he'll wait his turn.
So Jonathan Tamayo getting the better of Jeff Shulman today. Tamayo with almost 4 million chips. Another player getting the better of everyone right now is chip leader Billy Kopp. He's up against former player of the year Tom Schneider after the turn. Kopp has put out a bet of $375,000. Action on Schneider.
You gotta love it. A 6-year college senior against a former player of the year deep in the main event. This would be like one of those mid-majors against Kansas or Duke in the Final Four.
Schneider called 8 of hearts on the river. Kopp first to act. The chip leader puts together $980,000.
Kopp has chips and is using them. Big river bet into Tom Schneider.
Schneider with his wife Julie watching his every move. Tom makes the call. Kopp turns over a king 10. He made a straight on the turn.
And Tom Schneider took a big hit on that hand.
Kopp gets stronger.
Got shot on turn.
Tom relaying the bad news to his wife Julie on the rail.
That's okay. Don't even worry about it.
That's a victory for the rest of us since we don't have to hear the Schneider shriek.
And Kopp has been on a tear all day. Gets the best of the man they call the donkey bomber. Not many donkeys left in this short main event field, but what is a donkey and where did this term come from? We investigate in this edition of The Nuts.
Donkey in poker is like donkey in life, you know.
A donkey in poker basically means the idiot at the table.
Just being stubborn and not knowing that your hand is beat.
I play like a donkey, I know.
There are plenty of them out there.
If you don't know what a donkey is in poker, take a look in a mirror.
I do not know how the term donkey came to be applied to poker players.
I invented the term donkey.
Me and Eric Lindgren, we came up with this word. It was never said ever.
You know, he plays like a donkey.
And then there are some new words based on donkey where you say, well, a bunch of donks.
I donkified that tournament.
People say, oh, he dunked off his chips.
You can say that someone's donkeylicious.
I see another donkey.
I never call anybody a donkey, ever.
Say who the donkey is at the end of the day, sir.
God, they play so bad.
We don't want to pin the tail on the actual donkey.
But we need more animals, I think, though. There's just too much donkey and not enough antelope, you hippo, you labradoodle.
Better being called a horse's ass.
I've had the dubious distinction of being called a donkey and a horse's behind, and that's usually before I get out of bed.
Back to our featured table, 4 players going to the flop. Antonio Esfandiari raised with ace-6 of diamonds. He was called by Ryan Fair, dealt pocket 4s. Hung Pham with a suited ace-queen, and Eugene Kachalov with king 10 called from the blinds.
This could be a horse race with a bunch of donkeys.
The flop, 9 trade deuce, misses everyone. Fair leads with his pocket 4s. Pham missed it with ace-queen.
I've been playing poker line since the late 1930s, and that's the worst flop I've ever seen.
Pham and Kachalov check. Antonio Esfandiari with ace-6 will take a stab with $420,000.
Magician trying to pull a bluff out of his hat.
Ryan Fair, pocket 4s, how can he play? But he does lay down the best hand. Hung Pham now.
Pham, like Antonio, just with ace-high.
I'm all in.
Check raise all in. Kachalov folds.
Oh, I'm tired of you, Mr. Hung.
It's called bluffing with the best hand. Pham's squadouche has Antonio's squadouche squad dominated.
You have a rocket, you can send me home. Or I can double up.
I don't want to double you. That'll hurt me. On every level. Financially, spiritually, mentally. But if I bust you, that would feel good. I don't have anything. That's the problem. All right.
Antonio folds.
I kind of like Antonio's floor show when he's beat and he's about to fold. I give it 3.5 stars. I give Mr. Hung's sports coat 3.5 stars as well.
Mr. Hung. I love you, Mr. Hung. You cuckoo.
Hung Pham was the smart one on that hand, while Esfandiari leaks more chips. That's a bad pattern to be setting this late in the main event. Back at the Rio in the 2009 main event, we are inching closer to our final table. At the feature table, Antonio Esfandiari has not been able to get anything going today. He looks down at 7-4 offsuit, and he folds. Blinds are up to 30 and 60,000. Ryan Fair looks down at ace-10 of diamonds.
I've been getting a lot of email asking me why I hate the ace so much. Hey, it's personal.
Fair raises it to 150,000 with his suited ace. Now James Aikenhead. King of spades, queen of spades.
Aikenhead used to be a commuter train driver in London. One time he thought he was driving a train of 4 cars. It actually was 8 cars long. He didn't pull the train far enough onto the platform, and when he opened the doors, some people fell trying to get off of the train. Thankfully, no one was hurt badly, but that's why I take the bus.
Aikenhead called with a suited king-queen. Here's a flop. 8-4 queen. Aikenhead hits his pair of queens. Ryan Fair missed. He has ace high. But he's going to bet it, 255,000.
Fair with the continuation bet, also known as the dig your own hole special.
Just a smooth call from Aikenhead with top pair.
Aikenhead content to let Fair do the heavy lifting.
Turn card, deuce of spades. Fair gets no help. Aikenhead adds a flush draw. Fair bets 475,000, tries again to buy it.
When you're digging your own hole, it's a good idea to use your legs when you're shoveling the dirt so you don't hurt your back. Fair's doing a pretty good job.
Aikenhead just calls again.
Again, Aikenhead does not want to mess with Fair's handiwork.
Aikenhead with a huge advantage going to the river. 5 of spades, and Aikenhead gets better, hitting his flush. Fair reaching again. With air, he bets 530,000.
That is one good-looking hole Fair has dug for himself. I hope it's wired for cable.
Aikenhead confident with the second nut flush.
Fair now is really tired from all that shoveling. Of course, he can't call.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
He says, never mind, and lays it down. Aikenhead takes the pot from Ryan Fair.
Good down.
What a rush for James Aikenhead. He's really feeling it today, up over 5 million chips. But this is no surprise to James, because when he has a feeling, it seems to come true.
I know it sounds a bit crazy, but last year before I got on the flight, I was like, I've got a really good feeling this year I'm going to make a final table on the World Series.
And Aikenhead wins the hand to deliver a blow to Chris Ferguson.
And then this year, I just said to my friend, I'm going to go so deep in the main event. I get feelings now and again when I'm playing, and you just know that you're going to bust someone. I told my friends exactly how many chips I'd finish each day on before the day started. It's quite funny. I told them I'd finish day 3 on 780,000, and I finished on 792. Day 4, I said 1.7 million chips, and I finished on 1.596. On day 5, I said 3 million, and I finished on 2.7. So here I am. I just don't know where it comes from. Yeah, it's crazy.
Aikenhead says Brits are catching up to American players in poker skill, and I think he's ahead of most of us.
All right, let's go to the field. We head over to the man who was second in chips, Maryland logger Darvin Moon. He currently has another former big stack, Adam Bilzerian, all in after the flop. Bilzerian's queen 10 trailing the pocket nines of Moon.
It's the man who renounced his U.S. citizenship against the man who literally lives off the land of America.
Turn card, and there's a 10 for Bilzerian.
Moon now will need a 9 to knock off Bilzerian.
I hear the fat lady singing, my friend.
River card is an 8. Bilzerian wins that hand and doubles up through Darvin Moon.
Not a big hit to Darvin Moon's chip stack, but that was a big deal to Adam Bilzerian. He's still in this thing.
But he still has a lot of work to do. His 1.8 million chips is just about half the chip average in the room, which stands at about 3.7 million right now. To another table, Tom Schneider in even worse shape. He's all in and behind. His ace-7 off trails the pocket nines of Mark McLaughlin. Julie Schneider looking on anxiously.
McLaughlin, a 21-year-old student in Montreal. Oh, they're both going to have their hoods on for this hand.
Schneider looking for help, not looking happy. Flop is 5-6 king. McLaughlin's nines are still in the lead.
Someone say something, I can't see a thing.
Flop. What a drag, being all in and being nagged by your wife. Hand's not over and it's a bad beat.
Turn card now is a 7, that pair Schneider, but he needs more help.
And Tom Schneider needs an ace or a 7, or he and Julie will be heading home.
River card now.
Ace.
Will it be Schneider's last? It's another king. McLaughlin wins it with a better 2-pair, knocking off Tom Schneider in 52nd place.
That is it for the 2007 Player of the Year. Uh-oh. Is Julie Schneider going to slug Mark McLaughlin for knocking out her husband? Oh, it's just a hug. These people make me sick.
So the 21-year-old student from Montreal collects the last of Schneider's chips. Another big-name pro hits the dust.
See you guys.
A strong run here further solidifies Tom Schneider as one of the game's best.
The World Series of Poker, presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Main event.
Back at the Rio, there's Bradley Craig now at table 2. He's our chip in the chair guy who should have been out of here on day 1. He's all in with ace-king against the pocket kings of Jonathan Tamayo pre-flop.
And Craig with that ace-king called all in here with about 45 big blinds left.
Flop 5, queen 6. Craig still trailing Tamayo's kings.
Remember, Jeff Schulman got away from a similar spot with ace-king against Tamayo. Tamayo 4-betted again here, and Craig called all in.
Turn card, 4 of hearts. Tamayo still leads.
So our chip in a chair guy could be down to his last card. Craig needs an ace or he'll have no chips left.
River card is a 9, and that's going to do it. Tamayo wins the hand. Bradley Craig finally eliminated in 50th place.
So Craig goes out, and there go Craig's chips over to a now flush Jonathan Tamayo.
Tamayo with almost $8 million.
You look very impressive although like this.
Great run for Craig from almost out the door on day 1 to a payout of almost $139,000.
He never gave up, and it paid off in a big way. Back to chip leader Billy Kopp, who was probably glad to get rid of former Player of the Year Tom Schneider, who was on his left, but taking Tom's seat, none other than Phil Ivey, the second biggest chip stack. Phil trying to knock out bracelet winner Blair Rodman, but Rodman with a set of 6s to lead Ivey's pocket 9s.
I'm good in these situations. I know. Just so you know.
Phil doubled up Blair Rodman on day 6 in the process of doing it again here on day 7.
Oh, turn card. Ivey thought it was a 9, but just an 8.
Ivey now can only knock out Blair Rodman with a river 9.
River is a 5. Rodman will win that hand, a double up through Ivey again.
Another bump in the road for my man, but sometimes those bumps can turn into potholes, and before you know it, the road has swallowed you up.
I finish close.
1040.
Seems like the Rodman contingent brought their A game. Maybe the Humphreys should take note.
So Rodman should thank his benefactor Phil Ivey for that double up. Doesn't hurt Ivey too much. He's just under $10 million right now.
Said just re-raise you. I said just raise you.
Phil bemoaning his pre-flop play. That's like Michelangelo second-guessing his color choice in the Sistine Chapel.
Looking at the top chip stacks, the 2 biggest stacks are elbow to elbow out there. Jonathan Tamayo is charged up to 5th place. You notice Antonio Esfandiari has dropped out of the top 10 and below the chip average of about $4 million. At this feature table, action is on Ryan Fair on the Jack Link's Beef Jerky Pocket Cam. 2 10s.
Fair is starting a charity for cancer research in memory of his mother, Jody, who passed away earlier this year.
A raise from Fair to $150,000. Tavelli lays it down over to James Aikenhead. Small suited connectors into the muck.
Aikenhead playing it snug.
To the amateur Hung Pham. He's a chef at a family restaurant in Washington State with pocket kings. And a re-raise to $550,000.
2 pretty big hands bumping into each other.
Re-raise back to Ryan Fair now.
I'm all in.
He comes over the top, all in for over $2 million.
Pham barely has Fair covered. Obviously, Pham can only be beaten by aces, but he might think Fair has aces. Fair has raised and re-raised from under the gun.
I call.
Pham makes the call with his kings, and he'll put Ryan Fair on the edge of elimination.
Oh, wow. Slow roll.
Fair not happy with Pham.
Such a slow roll.
Fair thinks Pham took too long in calling with his kings.
Ryan is all in. Pocket
so the 2 kings of Pham trying to knock out the 2 10s of Ryan Fair. Now the flop. And there's a 10 in the window for fair.
What a blow to Hung Pham. His main event hopes now flickering.
Pham played the kings well, but runs into a set. Turn card now. 5 of diamonds. Fair still ahead.
Pham now needs a 2-outer. Only a king would knock out Ryan Fair.
And now the river card. It's a 9, and Ryan Fair will double up.
Isn't that excessive celebration?
I don't feel that bad.
Fair still upset. I just think Pham might have thought he was up against aces.
Pham crippled.
I thought I might have been ahead for a second. Thought he might have had ace-king.
Ryan Fair thinking about his mom there.
My mom just passed away.
Did she? Sorry to hear that. That was fair.
Yeah. Have fun.
Fair keeping the memory of his mother alive as he looks to go further in this main event. Welcome back to the Rio and the ever-shrinking main event. We're down to just 47 players. The chip average, just over 4.1 million. And this field may shrink even further. Adam Bilzerian all in with pocket tens, trailing to 2 kings of Joe Ward.
All the chips went in pre-flop. Ward, a 27-year-old pro from Massachusetts. Bilzerian has to have a 10.
Rivers a 9, and Bilzerian knocked out in 47th place.
What a run for the flying Bilzerian brothers. Dan finished 180th. Adam finishes 47th. More money for the venture capitalists.
Elsewhere, one of the big stacks, Steve Begleiter, trying to get us closer to our final 9. He has Manuel Lavandera dominated and at risk with the river card to come.
Lavandera needs a non-spade 6.
It is a 6 of clubs, and that's good enough for him to double up through Begleiter.
6 on the river.
Begleiter seems a bit dismayed.
I got one of my 2 out.
A huge array of emotions in this pressure cooker that is the main event.
Well, there's one way to pay off your losing hand. Geez, you know, I had some of my money with Bear Stearns. When it all disappeared, I took it a little better than he just did.
Begleiter steaming. We'll try to walk it off. Back to the featured table, which has seen its share of bad beats too. Antonio Esfandiari with 2 pair after the flop, trying to finish off the amateur Hung Pham. Pham holding a pair of 6s. It was Ryan Fair who just crippled Pham with a bad beat, hitting his set of 10s.
Good luck, sir.
Turn card now with Pham at risk is another deuce. Esfandiari with deuces full now.
And now Hung Pham needs a 2-outer. Only a 6 for a better full house keeps him around.
The river card is a 5 of hearts. Hung Pham knocked out in 46th place.
Ryan Fair knocked Hung Pham down, and Antonio finished him off.
A great showing for the amateur, wins almost $139,000. Antonio Esfandiari collects those chips, once again heading in the right direction. Out in the field, Dennis Phillips is putting his chips into action. Phillips re-raised to $450,000 pre-flop. Action is on Francois Baumigère.
Baumigère, one of 3 French players still in the field. A Frenchman has never won the main event.
I'm all in.
All in.
I call.
An all-in and a call. Phillips at risk shows ace-king against the ace-king of Baumigère, both suited.
We're looking at a split pot unless one of the 2 makes a flush. And once again, we've seen a lot of chips go in pre-flop with ace-king.
I don't want any flush. We just want to chop it, guys.
I want to see a flush.
No, we don't want to see a flush. I don't think
Phillips just wants a safe resolution. Everyone take back his chips and let's move on.
All right. Let's see the flop now. Ace-king versus ace-king. It is 4 kings, 6, 2 spades for Baumigère, and Phillips suddenly uneasy.
Yeah, and now Dennis Phillips, all in on a quest for back-to-back main event final tables, has to fade a spade on the turn and the river.
Dennis Phillips at risk.
I like red cards.
Turn card, that's a red card.
One more red one.
1 down, 1 to go for Dennis to chop the pot.
Anything red, and I'm happy.
But if Baumigère can hit a spade on the river, Dennis Phillips is gone.
The river card. Oh, it's the spade!
Wow.
Dennis Phillips is gone.
A brutal way to go out.
That is gut-wrenching for Dennis Phillips.
Wow. I'm out.
To see his 4 million chips disappear like that.
Dennis Phillips' extraordinary 2-year main event run ends in unexpected fashion. No back-to-back final tables for Phillips, but he didn't miss by much.
The players in the Rio poker room saluting Dennis Phillips. He bested over 13,000 players over 2 years and left an indelible impression on the World Series.
What a rotten way to lose, though.
Day 7 was anything but lucky for some decorated pros and familiar faces who hit the rail short of their ultimate goal.
Beat them next year.
For one, a remarkable 2-year run ended in painful fashion.
That was a bad one. Yeah. Beat a little over 13,000 people. It's a horrible way to go out, though.
While Leo Margetts continues towards history, a few top pros remain in the hunt.
Man, that's so cool.
But the man atop the leaderboard is Billy Kopp, who is feeling the heat from a group charging up the chip count, including the most dangerous player in the world, Phil Ivey.
I'm good in these situations.
For Norm and Chad, I'm Lon McCarran. We'll see you next time as the push towards the final table continues.